Welcome to 5 in 5 from the One Stop Co-op Shop, where I discuss 5 key elements of a game in about 5 minutes. I'm Michael Kelly, and today we're looking at Endangered from the Grand Gamers Guild. Partial disclaimer on this one, I got a discount on my copy of the game. I really liked the look of Endangered from Jason Perez's recent playthrough on our channel, so I wanted to try the game out for myself. But was it as enjoyable in live play? Let's find out and get to the list. I'm going to start out with a pro at number 5, and that's focused on the unique characters each player controls in the game. You have one of 5 characters to choose from, and each of them has 2 options for a special power, and also has a deck with some unique cards in it tied to their theme and mechanics. I like how these characters give playing the game a bit of variety each time, especially in that some of them are better at certain types of actions than others, so depending on who you pick and which animal you're trying to save, you can kind of fine-tune your experience to be tougher or easier. But I do want to note a small negative here, that the vast majority of cards in each character's deck are exactly the same, and I wish they'd gone a little further and really made these very unique decks. I have another pro at number 4, although not everyone is going to love it, and that's the way you influence ambassadors to win the game. Some actions in the game will allow you to reveal one of the 6 ambassadors and let you know what you need to do in the game to get them to vote with you to pass legislation for the animal you're trying to save. And this provides a lot of the tension and variety in the game, because you'll never know exactly what you need. You have to spend actions to kind of build it towards these people while not trying to save the animals at the same time. I really like it. It's very similar to the mechanic we put into our design, Salvation Road, so clearly I'm biased towards it and I think it's great. And I have another pro at number 3, that's 3 in a row, and that's the core mechanic of rolling for destruction and for birth of your animals as you move them around the board. So in each round, the active player will both roll for new offspring based on the number of mating pairs on the board, and will also roll for destruction, threatening the habitats and the very lives of the animals you're trying to protect. And this is another element that gives the game a lot of its excitement and tension, because at least when we played, like me and my son, or me and my wife, we hated the idea of losing these animals. We wanted to do everything we could to move them out of harm's way and get them together to make new babies, but the game really puts the screws to you, has mechanics that force the bad destruction tiles to come right towards the animals, so it's just a lot of fun and really builds the experience overall. But this review can't all be positive, and I get to my first mix at number 2, which is focused on the animal variety. The core game comes with 2 animal types for you to save, sea otters and tigers, and each acts kind of like a scenario with its own special rules, its own side of the board, and its own unique deck of impact cards with combos within the deck, which really change up how each of the animals feel. On the positive side, I think there are a lot of great differences here. Playing in the tiger scenario definitely felt different for me than playing with the sea otters. But on the negative side of things, I just don't think there's enough variety in the core box. 2 animal types doesn't quite cut it. Now you can buy the giant panda expansion, but that's going to cost you a little bit extra, but there's an even better option that I'll get to in my final thoughts. And I'm going to end with one more mix, although it leans pro in some circumstances, and that's the core action mechanic of placing dice on spaces and cards. On the positive side, I really like the build and arc to the game, how players will play out action cards, building the options for them and their fellow players to use. And I also mostly like the way dice are used in the game, in that once a player places a die on an action, no one else can use that action unless their die value is higher than the first one. But that's also where the mix comes in depending on your player count, because with 2 players especially, and even kind of with 3 players, there's just not enough kind of competition and tension to trying to get your dice on the right spots. I really think you need 4 or 5 players before that puzzle kind of reaches its full potential. Overall, I definitely enjoyed Endangered. I like winning with the ambassadors, I like the differences in the characters and the differences in the animals. That brings up the final thing I want to mention, which is the fact that Endangered has an expansion on Kickstarter right now, and the expansion is almost exclusively focused on bringing a ton of new species to the game. I'm definitely backing it because my family and I are enjoying the play, and back to my number 2, more animals is just what the game needs to give it long-term legs. Good gaming, and I'll see you at the next stop.